And welcome back to Terrafirmacraft. As you can see, it is winter, and I just got back from my expedition. It was a very successful expedition. I got some different types of food and some different types of wood and everything. Made it quite a ways, actually. If you take a look here, it's definitely winter up north, but I went quite a ways south. I got some seaweed around here, and then I kept going, and I ended up getting some different tree types, and then I started to find some minerals that I needed. Finally, I found iron in this chalk biome here. I found some other things like kaolinite and gypsum, and I think jet somewhere. But I kept going. There was a nice, that's GNEISS area, and some other types, and then finally made it down to this area where I found gold, and I stopped. Got to about 8,500 south, which is quite a ways away from my region way up here in the 1300s, I think it is. Yes, 1375. So we got like 5,000 south, which is a very long distance. But as you can see, it is snowing. It is winter, and it is time to turn in the seaweed quest before I forget. Yes, excellent. Okay, so that's, I mean, I guess that's the equivalent of the fishing quest. I don't know why they make you get seaweed, but whatever. So I'll put those away. Now, let's, I wanted to start out today by, well, first of all, let's finish what we were doing with the leather. So I went ahead and put some more. I killed the deer early on in my adventure, so I put this here, and I'm just going to scrape these off real quick while I'm talking. But on today's exciting episode, I think what we're going to do is mine out some of that copper and really work on that, and then some building. I think I'd finally like to do some building. And I think what I'm going to do is start outlining some of the walls of my future castle. And I think that will be a good episode. I'm going to try to complete one other quest as well. I don't know which one. We'll figure that out. Okay, so we got these 3 scraped hides. We soak them in water now. They'll become prepared hides. Put some more mortar going, and then when you put the prepared hide and the tannin, it comes out like this. So now we have leather. Now you can hover over the leather like so, and you get this little interface. Uh-oh. All your leather recipes should be right here. What the frick? Oh, sorry, wrong one. There we go. Okay, so it's that is your tunic, and then pants are easy, and we're just going to do the boots. The boots are a little tricky. It's like a boot. That's weird. And we'll do the helmet next time once we get some more leather. Okay, so now we have some armor, and it doesn't have a little armor symbol, so you can't really tell how good it is, but I figured I'd come over here and demonstrate a little bit of the mining. We do need the copper anyway. Alright, so we'll head on down, and you know, I'm kind of torn between whether I should finish carving out the edges of the... Ooh, shite. That's... You know what? I think the snow up top does something with the monster spawn situation. Because I don't know if they can actually spawn on the snow. I could be wrong about that. Yeah, because they're not really spawning much on the snow. It's just... I don't know what happened there. That was weird. Because they weren't spawning up there, but they all spawned down here. I guess we'll have to fight our way through. I'm okay with that. As long as it doesn't destroy my ore. Ooh, I got Got scared there for a second. Oh, there's another one. Okay. I think I will try to replace these just to be on the safe side. At least that one. That one's kind of superfluous, to be honest, and I care less what happens over here. Ooh, God bless it. I need to... This is one of the dangers of caving in general, but I think in the past there had been more spawns up on the surface, so they didn't really spawn in the cave. At least this cave, because it's pretty small. So I better light this up before we get more. One of the disadvantages, to be sure, of the TFC torches that actually go out is you could end up with a situation where you have a dark cave that once was safe. It'd be nice if I had some more gemstones, to be honest. Okay, and this spider is pretty much trapped up there. See if I can get some string. I'm still working on getting enough spider string to loom it into silk. I'm getting these spider eyes. I don't think there's any purpose to the spider eyes. Certainly not in vanilla TFC, but... And of course, you know, when I say vanilla TFC, I mean TFC without any additional mods. TFC is already a mod. Okay, well, I guess I'm going to demonstrate my technique before I start mining out the copper. So bear with me here, but really what we want to do... And you don't have to do it this way. In fact, I would recommend being careful about doing it this way because it's a good way to lose a bunch of ore if you're not careful. But what you want to do first of all, anytime you have that happen, you should probably replace the opening there with cobblestone. So let me just go get a little cobblestone here. Oops, that's granite. Yes, okay. So it's just good to have a little bit of building material because this will prevent that unprotected block over here from dropping onto the support beams, which could break them. There we go. But the technique that I'm using here, we just dig 3 in any given direction from the support beam. So 1, 2, 3. Essentially, you're opening up what could potentially be as big as a 7x7 square around the center support beam. The one caveat to that is that typically you would already have dug out a huge, the other side of it, so it doesn't really come off like a 7x7. I like to curve these walls too, I don't know why, just because they look neat. We are getting some ore down below and a little bit in the ceiling. That means we're probably at the best optimal height for this. Incidentally, I've got the 2 support beams in place here. So you can go all the way up to the 3rd one, and you're safe to keep going this way because that beam is here. So this is actually 0, and then this is 1 beyond the beam in this direction. This will be 2, and the 3rd one's there. We're not going to be able to easily get that one because it is blocked. In fact, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Blocking. But I'm just trying to get all the solid rock out of here without corrupting or interfering with the direction of the vein in general, so I can continue to see where I'm at. Okay, so that's pretty good there. 2, and then the 3rd one is there. You know, this is pretty intense in here, and I'm probably gonna have to take it to that direction. So that's kind of the technique that I'm using, so I don't miss anything. But now what you can do is, if you're pretty comfortable that you've got the edge of a vein, you can start to mine up the copper to the best of your ability. You might consider starting with the ones that are a little trickier to get. Again, I do like to fill in if they're above or below the excuse me, I froze there for a second. The 3 block plane that we're working with here, which is the 1, 2, 3. So if they're above and below it, you might consider filling, especially above, filling it in. So if there is a cave-in, the one right above the support beam will block any cave-in. I'm just going to get the ones over on this side. I know the other side still has a lot of work to go, but I could use some of this copper, and definitely want to have enough to make a few more bronze tools if we need to. We're getting hungry. Oh, and we are getting some gems finally, so that's good. Alright, so anyway, I'm going to finish mining up here a little bit off camera, and then cut out a little bit, but you know, one thing I thought about maybe doing was starting alcohol production. By the way, I'm just going to put these gems along the wall for now, but I might come back and get them later. Again, permanent light source. I think they're used in a couple of other things as well. But again, you know, just as far as mining this ore up goes, just, you know, everybody has a little bit different style. You can mine it the second you see it, and frankly, mining the ore itself will not trigger a collapse. Mining the rock around it will. And so in order to account for that, I do typically like to fill these gaps in with cobblestone or something along those lines. And there's a whole physics behind it, and I'm sure I'll talk about it a lot, but realistically what we're really doing is we are putting a gravity block in a space where gravity gets turned off because of the support beams. The support beams basically turn off gravity for a limited area within 3 by 3 around the center of the pole, going 1 up and I believe 2 or 3 down from the level of the support beam. So if I were to put a rock here, it would stay because that's within 3 of the support beam and it's within, you know, a couple of the actual beam. Same with this one here, but if I were to go 1 farther out or something like that, it would not stay. So it basically suspends gravity in that limited area, and that's how we use it. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and cut to outside, and we're going to do some stuff out there. So because here's what I'm thinking, guys. So if I were to, let's just use these marbles. If I were to break these, okay, so what I'm doing is I'm creating a barrier. Guess I don't need to use a pickaxe to break ice. That's a waste of duration or durability, not duration. Okay, and then if I just fill in the rest of these with my blocks here. I'm wondering if I can actually destroy all of the salt water and replace it with fresh water. This is a great experiment, but if it works, it'll be worth it. And then I'll start working on the other sections that I've sectioned off here later. Okay, so now I've destroyed all the salt water in this little compartment, theoretically. And you can test that out by, you know, picking it up or whatever. Looks like it's going to start melting slightly today. So now if I mine these out, let's see what happens. When this water comes flowing back from all of these melting ices, I'm curious what will happen. These bricks do take a little bit longer to mine, it looks like. Just something to keep in mind. But theoretically, this will all create water source blocks eventually once they all melt, or once I break them, which I will. And then these should all be fresh water in this entire section. That is brilliant if it works. And And then we can do the same to this section over here. And then we can maybe even move out that way. That's going to be trickier, because what you need is a width and a height of a square that is all freshwater. Either that or you need to find a way to convert saltwater to freshwater, which is a mechanic that I do not know anything about. But let's see if this works. I'm really curious. We're almost at the point where we're going to find out. I'm just going to have to go break some of this edge ice and create source blocks using the corner method. You can't move water until you get I think it's a red steel bucket, but you can manipulate existing water source blocks, and that's exactly what I'm doing. You can basically take any circular kind of shape and square it out. That's basically what we're doing here. We're just doing it in a methodical way. Okay, so there's all of our marble back, and let's just break these edge ices here, like so. I would have thought that would have created a cascading effect of source block creation. Well, maybe the water functions a little differently in TFC. So I'm not getting source blocks. I'm getting flowing water in this corner still. So maybe it treats the water kind of like more like lava than actual water. I could have sworn this would have worked though. Oh well, at least we know that this is all freshwater source blocks, and then I think this will freeze, and then we'll see what we can do. Well, we might try again, but we know this is all freshwater now. Okay, and we're back. Sorry about that. I just restarted the game, so it's reloading. That should take care of the lag, I would think. You can get a little sneak peek of any, well, tunnels and stuff. You can see a few of them. I really would like to find a cave around here, because I'm curious to see whether my concerns about the absence of every time I restart the world I get another one of these goddamn crystal balls, so I'm gonna throw it away. I do need to use the one that I have eventually, but anyway, I can't remember what I was saying. That's okay. Okay, so next let's check on these. Okay, now we've got the medium prepared hide. Throw it in the tannin, and that'll be leather. And we got 64 mortar, and I literally got that from 4 sand. So each sand you put in gives you 16 mortar. That's crazy. Okay, so that's why they're always like multiples of 62. Now let's do alcohol. So first of all, you're going to want to get the right amount, and I think if I remember correctly, it's okay. So now I've got 40 and 80. Let's try 40 and see if that, yeah, 40 works. So I'm gonna make 2 things of cider. Let's actually, should we do 3? While I'm on a, oh, that's not what I wanted. Oh, that's not what I wanted either. Whatever, it's close enough. I'm gonna have a little waste here, but that's okay. We'll just do the 3rd thing of cider with a little bit of inefficiency with the amount of apple we're using. Now the cider is a type of alcohol that you make from apples. You can make other types of alcohol from other things. So yeah, I mean, and for example, you can make beer out of barley and stuff as well, and I think that's one of the more authentic kind of ones. Corn whiskey strikes me as just odd for whatever reason, but you can technically do that as well. So I think what we're going to do is just a little bit of metalworking here. I need to continue to produce ingots with the little bits of metal that I'm finding, because essentially my goal... oh, by the way, I found all these cranberry bushes while I was exploring. I have a ton of them, like just more than I could possibly use for now. But anyway, you know, when we find metal ingots, we definitely want to, or metal nuggets, we definitely want to use them and make them into ingots, because the main way of advancing here is by making different types of metalworking, and that to do that we would typically need to build an anvil, which requires 14 ingots. So we're going to keep doing that progressively, and then I just wanted to show you over here, you know, with our quest book, I'm just going to take a look and see. I think what we should maybe try to do, I'm still having trouble with the grain one there, but there's one that I want to do about Loom. Okay, so you have to create a spindle. To create a spindle, we can do this while we're doing our metalworking here. But essentially, you'll just grab some clay, and you'll need a stick and clay, and that is your spindle recipe. So just making a few of these. You know, you really only need one because they last quite a while, but I'm making 4 because I want to fill my whole pit with them. So we're going to put the spindles down here, and actually, you know, I think I might just go ahead and start this fire and cut it and come back in just a second. But you want to fire these spindles real quick. When you fire them, it fires into an actual spindle, but then the stick gets burned up. Okay, and we're back. I did that off camera just now, and so those fires should be done. It's like a cooking show where you have one prepared in the oven so the audience doesn't have to wait, you know. So I got those spindles back, and those are going to stack, I think, if I, you know, but either way, there's 4 of them there. And you'll see, and because the stick burned up, you'll have to add a stick to the spindle before you can use it. I also did a bunch of my metal, though, so I wanted to show you the process just real quick, and I'm going to cut most of this out, but, you know, you basically just take your ingot cast and you put it in your bronze or copper mixing bowl. Fortunately, those are still liquid, so cut ahead there, and you'll put your ingots in fresh water if you want to speed up the process like I'm doing here. And then once you get all of your ingots back, once they're cool, you can simply put them in your crafting grid and they'll pop out. And then and actually they don't have to be cool to do that, but it allows them to stack. So that's why it's probably more efficient to do it that way. I did 5 copper, 7 bronze, a zinc, and then a bronze mace there as well. And so we're going to go ahead and stack these over here on the ground. We've got 7 copper total now, which is half of what we need to create that copper anvil. And we've, I think, 8 bronze there. So we're well on our way as well. And then I did go ahead and make this random zinc ingot just because we can. Zinc comes from cephaloite. So, but you can just, you know, right-click these onto the ground, or is it shift right-click? And that's a good way to store your ingots. It's pretty cool. I love that mechanic of stacking ingots on the ground like that. But yeah, I kind of... Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to make... So you take your spindle head, and you do that. Now, here's the deal. Because I have familiarized myself with these sheep, I don't actually need scissors to shear them. I can just shift right click with the knife and it will shear my sheep. And I don't believe, I mean, the coloration is neat and it looks nice, but I don't believe it matters for purposes of shearing. Now what you're going to do is you're going to, well, let's first and foremost, before we do anything else, make sure we can turn in this quest as we go. So yeah, we got the clay spindle, we got the spindle head, and we got the spindle. Getting wool, so we have the wool, now we need to make wool yarn. So we've got wool, and what we do is we take it, we put it on the spindle, and that'll give us yarn. Okay? Very simple. Now we need to create an oak loom. I don't know if it needs oak, but we'll use oak. Lumber around a stick. easy enough. So grab our saw, and I believe it was just that, yes. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll turn this quest in. Oh, I guess it wants us to make cloth. Okay, we can't turn it in quite yet, but we're close. Put the loom on a wall or something like this, and then what you do is you grab your yarn, and I have just enough to do this. But 16 wool, I think it requires 24 spider silk and maybe something like 8 or 12 jute fibers. So there's 3 basic cloths in the game. And then you shift right click, and you can hold it. And you see how it's making that pattern up top? We're basically looming this wool into fabric. Then you can right click it, and then you have your cloth. Let's take a look and see what else. Okay, we need bread. Oh, and it needs a small rawhide. I'd have to kill maybe a pig, or I don't even know. Rabbit. Something that's not so common, but we'll get to that. What else? And the anvil, so we'll have to get to that too. Well, yeah, I think that's gonna do it. At least for now. Well, let me real quick show you what I did with the marble. And if I really wanted to be ambitious, I would mine this up and move it to somewhere useful. But I went over here. I'm gonna get attacked, but I'll just do this real quick. Started putting the marble out, as you can see, right here. This, to me, looks like a good place for a gate. Right? Like an entrance to the castle area. So I'm putting a gate in. I mean, who knows what this will all develop into, but I'm just basically putting marble blocks into the side of the cliff face in a way that I think would be coherent for castle walls. And then I'm putting them over here as I go, and then I made a little section here. So, you know, it's kind of coming out here, it's going to square out here, maybe I put a tower up here. And then come along this way probably and go around there. And, you know, come around back, go along here probably. Probably go over to there, and probably go around on this guy over to there somehow. And that is what I'm thinking for the interior of the main castle, like right across. Or maybe I'll even go over to that one, but I could certainly do it here and put a little gate here and go across there with my wall. And then we could have a little outflow from the castle, so the rivers are literally flowing out. I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking, but we'll have to see. This is obviously going to be land that's adjacent to the castle. Oh, by the way, I should tell you, off camera, I actually made some charcoal. I forgot about this. Oh, shit. Sorry. Didn't mean to get caught in my charcoal pit here. But, hang on, stuff. Okay. Well, this will remind me. I gotta dig this out. We're gonna learn how to make charcoal in one of the next episodes, but I just wanted to show you that, so in case anybody's wondering what I've been doing with some of the wood. There's so much wood in this that I just felt like it would be a waste if I didn't make some charcoal. So I did, and we'll like I said, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, that's gonna do it for today's episode. So thank you for watching, and we will see you next time on TerraFirmacraft.